I want to get into my next topic, and that is the survival of Bitcoin. When you look at some strategies or some companies that are developing alternative coins and or alternative blockchain technology out there, what are your thoughts on potentially, could Bitcoin ever be replaced by some other crypto?
I think there's about zero chance of that.
Really?
Bitcoin's
Okay.
$1 trillion digital monetary network. Bitcoin would be the most successful thing you've ever seen in your life. Period.
That's a big one.
For example, it took Microsoft 44 years to be $1 trillion. It took Apple 42 years to be $1 trillion network. It took Amazon 24 years to be $1 trillion network. It took Google 22 years to be $1 trillion network. It took Bitcoin 12 years to become $1 trillion network. And there's nothing else.
Right.
There is no other $1 trillion network. So what you have is a decentralized digital network, which is in essence transforming analog money or analog assets to digital assets. It's global. It's running everywhere on the earth, and it has been growing. It was growing at 200% a year. Try to remember when Amazon or Apple or Google grew at 200% a year.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
It's growing at 200% a year for a decade until March of 2020. And in March of 2020, that monetary fire that was burning at 200% a year hit the pandemic, and the rate of currency expansion increased by a factor of 3. We went from expanding the money supply at 7% a year to expanding the money supply at 24% a year. We're looking at the money supply expanding at 15% a year or more for the next 4 to 8 years. So how do you feed a monetary fire? And the answer is you pour money on it.
Right.
And so the macroeconomics are driving this network to grow faster. The network, it accelerated. It was growing 200% a year. Now it's growing 400+% a year. Okay, again, give me an example of anything this scale that ever grew 400% a year. And in terms of inertia, the $1 trillion is $1 trillion of monetary energy. That means you've got more than 100 million people that have $1 trillion invested in this brand. This is the only brand in the history of the world. It's $1 trillion brand, right? It's like think about the value of Coca-Cola as the brand. In the minds of 100 million plus people, you have this idea and it's worth $1 trillion. How are you going to rip that idea out of people's heads? 100 million people, thousands and thousands of companies, huge amounts of energy, a huge amount of inertia. This is the base layer digital asset network that they're all focusing upon. And so as they build their technology around it, like Square and PayPal, and as they invest in it, like Tesla, and as the message spreads, that's a lot more energy and a lot more momentum than any company or any other brand or any other idea I've seen, right?